What's happening, everybody? Welcome to the next video on the S15. The last video I kind of got sidetracked. It took a lot longer than I was expecting to tuck that harness. I had to do a lot more than I thought I was going to. So basically we just started cutting the bumper, and now this video it's going to be hopefully basically shaping this area how I want it. As you can see, I got it cut out in the last video. So yeah, hopefully this is going to be kind of like building of the bumper. So I'm just going to get into it and basically start where we left off. So what I've done basically is took my Sharpie and kind of tried to get like to the same angle from on there. It's kind of hard to do, but I'm just gonna eyeball it and cut it from there, and just I'll probably end up cutting it more than that, but just want to start off small, cut off a little bit by a little bit until we get where we want to be. So you can see I got it trimmed back now. I might take it back a little bit more, but I think what I'm gonna do is, just because it's kind of hard to get an idea of how it looks with a giant hole, I'm probably gonna try and tape some paper on here and just kind of get an idea of the shape of it, just to see what we're working with. Okay, so this is basically the biggest difference that I was trying to gain from doing this. You can see the wheel is almost like flush with the bumper there. I mean, actually it fits pretty good, but I like this much better.
This is brilliant, but I like this.
Where it pokes out and it kind of continues with the profile of the top of the fender, kind of goes out with it. But I just think this looks way better. Okay, so I just threw the headlights in, because obviously that's pretty important too, when like 90% of the headlight fits to the bumper. You can see here it's touching, and then over here it's got a massive gap, like put your whole finger in it. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna continue with worrying about this like side modification. I'll fix all of this and fill that in. Then once that's all solid again, I'm probably gonna cut all along here to about there, and then I'm gonna try and like tip that up to kind of like match up with that, because you really don't want to just fill that much or just crack off. But at least we have an idea now. Like this fits really good all the way along, and this is super easy to like manipulate and move wherever you want because this is cut out. So I was gonna leave this side alone, like until I get that side fully done, then I do the same thing on this side and kind of compare back and forth. But it's so much easier to move that side, so I'm gonna cut this side out right now and just do both sides at the same time, which is probably a better idea anyways. Okay, now I've got this side cut out. It's the same as the other side, so I didn't bother filming it. I used the pieces from the other side and just kind of eyeballed it and basically used them as a template to at least get somewhat close right off the bat. It's gonna be tough, but I want to make it obviously so we got like the same amount of poke on both sides and like flare here. I'm gonna have to make a couple templates and basically figure out the angles and how far out this actually is supposed to come to continue this line. So I'm gonna do some messing around. I got both sides cut out now, and I like how this one looked. So I took a template of like this bottom shape and then up in the wheel well. I transferred it to this side, and now we have that. You can see it's still sitting there. So it lines up pretty much all the way along. And I got a little bit carried away and I started grinding. Now these, so you can see how wide this one is at the top now. That's because now it's pulling that out. So that's where all the tension was. And then this one a little bit too, a little bit wider, but then the other ones you kind of don't see as much. So it was mainly like right in this area. And yeah, you cannot put fiberglass over top of paint. So that's the bare fiberglass now. So I kind of beat it out a little bit so it's like a low spot. I can't really tell, but it's a low spot in each crack. So now I'll go back and I'll slap some resin on there and mat this whole area, and then leave it sit overnight, and then it'll be nice and strong. I would like to do it on the car, that way it stays like right where it is, and I know it's gonna be good. Then I also discovered a whole bunch of Bondo in it, which it's just a fiberglass bumper. It's gonna get smashed, so it's not a huge deal. But it's kind of a pain because Bondo was basically making the edge of the bumper. So I have to do what I can for now, build that up with fiberglass, and then once I get it off, do a little bit more work to that. But now I'll grind this side, grind all these out, and basically maybe mix up some resin and start doing some stuff. Okay, so see, I got it all cleaned up. I'm just gonna put little strips here and here and here, and then on the inside I'll put like a nice big piece. This is just so it has the shape of like the fender lining up good like I want. So I'm gonna do it on the car and let it dry on the car and everything so it fits perfectly. So I've got all my pieces just roughly cut out. Pretty much I'm just gonna put 2 layers on. I'll put one of the thin ones in first, like the skinny ones, and put a wider one kind of over top of that. This part isn't super important. Basically the main thing that you want to make sure of is that you're not going over any paint. And even if you do, like, say one of those mats go like over this little edge here where there's a little bit of paint, it's not a huge deal. You can just grind it off once it hardens up and it'll still be fine. Fiberglass is super forgiving and it's pretty easy, honestly, just super messy. Now obviously, like up inside there, like on top of this edge, is not gonna get fiberglass right now, but like I said, I'm just gonna do this part to hold it, and then once I take the bumper off and I do the inside, I'll rebuild that whole lip. So yeah, I'm just gonna mix up some resin now and basically start slapping it all on there. So this stuff gets everywhere too, so I've got paper on the ground, which is definitely a good idea if you care about your floor at all. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And then you go slap your pieces on there. Basically just trying to get the piece of matting that you're putting on there, getting it like completely saturated so you don't see any more of like the white of the matting, if that makes sense. So you can see it's completely like the same color as the resin now. So now we'll just go back and do a second layer. I should have made these a little bit wider, but this will be fine. Like I said, I'm gonna go back and do the whole inside with like a big solid piece as well. So this really isn't that important. This is just to hold it in the shape that we want. So now this has been sitting for, I don't know, probably about 4 hours now. It's pretty much rock hard. I could unbolt it, but I really want it to like fully harden. So I don't want to undo it and then have it kind of separate. So I'm just gonna leave it, and I'm hoping that it was free enough that it's gonna stay exactly where I put it. If it doesn't exactly, it's not a huge deal, because I can do some grinding and a little more fitting and stuff to make it good. But this should be where that's gonna go, and we should be able to do filler work from there. I can go and cut these, lift this up, and then I can start shaping. I'm probably gonna use cardboard in here, and then laying the mat in here and filling this whole area basically how I want. All right, so I basically marked 1/2 inch from this bottom part up to here, inside and outside, and then I just run a piece of tape across there. So I'll just cut it along that, and then I'll be able to push this up and then have this go inside, and then I'll be able to put a screw through it, inside, outside, whatever, and it'll hold it up like a 1/2 inch higher. And I'm hoping that's going to be enough. See both sides, we got basically self-tap where we want it. And like from here to the bottom on both sides is within like 1/8 of an inch. So this should be good. So basically what I've done is I've just gone and pieced together like cardboard. I don't know if you see it or not, but and then basically taped along the outside so that you can kind of see better. And then when I go and put the matting over it, it won't stick to the tape. It would stick a lot to the cardboard. So this should be a little bit cleaner and easier to clean up, because I'm gonna do the outside layer and then I'll take this, rip this all out once it dries and do the inside. I'm still not entirely sure if I like it or not, but I think it's a huge improvement over what it was. But we'll be able to see more what's going on once I actually get it matted and stuff. You can see I tried to follow this contour here with the cardboard, and it kind of did that. I don't know, it looks pretty good. So I'm excited to cut up some mat and get started on that. So I'm gonna cut out some pieces. All I'm gonna do is basically take my piece that I cut out, put it on the fiberglass, and just kind of cut around it quite a bit bigger, and then that'll give the general shape of that. My pieces, the little one will be the first layer, and then the bigger one's gonna be the second layer. So the idea here is basically just like fill in the hole and kind of make it even, and then this one's gonna overlap all around the panel. I'm gonna try and wrap it like under and around, but I don't really think it's gonna work because it's fiberglass matting doesn't like to make like sharp 90-degree turns. So I'm hoping to at least get it to like touch on the edges, but it's not a huge deal because once I go and do the inside, I can lay it in there nice and definitely get it nice and solid. So I'm gonna mix up some resin now and then start slapping it on there. Basically just get like the crappiest paintbrushes from the dollar store you can find. They're junk after anyway, so. I'm also gonna like put it all over the tape too, because I need that bottom layer to get it completely saturated to harden up like you want fiberglass to do. So saw the 2 layers of fiberglass go on. It's looking pretty good. It's actually pretty straight, which is cool. There won't be a ton of filler. And you can see, normally you want to really get these like air pockets out, because it's only doing that because the fiberglass is like going in to like the hole basically. So we'll be able to fill that once we pull the cardboard and everything out from the inside. So I have the bumper off now. Just because this took me a while to make this like the proper shape, and technically it should be the same shape as that, just reversed, and it's cardboard, so I just bend it wherever I need it. But because I put that tape on there, it was actually a really good idea because it just peeled off like without damaging the cardboard at all. Like that was just stuck on there and just peeled it off. So now all I'm left with is just a little bit of tape, which actually might peel off too, but probably not. It's probably just gonna rip. But I could just grind that way faster than it would be to grind like thick cardboard off the fiberglass. I took the cardboard from the other side, flipped it around, put it on this side. This side took a little bit longer. Basically just to try and match it to the other side now. I don't think it's like perfectly matched, but I've messed with it a lot. So I'm hoping it's gonna be close. So I'm just gonna cut up some mat and then basically do the same thing I did on the other side. I really had my GoPro all set up on a tripod for a time lapse and I forgot to hit the button, but whatever. It's just like the other side. While I'm waiting for that to dry, this from yesterday is obviously now very dry. So I'm gonna cut this off, trim up the bottom, and then basically start shaping this a little bit, grind these down. And yeah, just grind this whole area. down. It looks pretty good, honestly. I'm pretty happy with it. Very similar to the other side, like shape-wise. As far as like the shape of the bumper goes, it's pretty much exactly what I want, other than up here, like this gap here. Slice this here and kind of tilt that up to fill that gap back in, because that's pretty awful. Took the bumper off, ground out all this stuff. There's a bunch of repairs done, especially over here. That's why it's up super far like that. Also a big crack here that had some just Bondo in it, so that has to be fixed. Same with this side. This side's really cracked all the way down here. Somebody repaired from the back, but pretty poorly, so I have to redo that. And you can see up in there it's cracked too. This has also been repaired, but now you can't really tell, but it's not touching. So I think what I'm gonna do now, like I said before, is I'll probably cut it like from here around the corner, kind of to here, try and get it to tilt up. Then I can lay some fiberglass here and get it to sit, hopefully even with this, all the way along. That way it won't have this like gap here. What I plan to do is basically cut some strips of cardboard and then kind of shove them in from behind underneath, kind of in between the bumper and the rebar, or the bumper bracket at least, and kind of support it that way. And then I'll just lay some mat out here and it should be fine. What I've come up with basically is I got a bunch of cardboard inside, underneath, and then I even have a roll of electrical tape. That's how far this side was down. So I was holding it up, and then I've just got these little pieces of cardboard, basically just to hold like a similar gap as over here. So you can see, now this gap here is how much it has to raise up, but you can see the gap under the headlight is now pretty consistent and pretty good. So it doesn't look that great right now. Some of them touching like the headlight and whatever, but once I grind it, I'll be able to grind it nice and smooth and flat, and it'll be good. Definitely. Oh, I touched this spot up too, since it was cracked, but it's definitely gonna be good now. I'm super happy with this. The outside of the bumper is pretty much done. Both sides are done, both headlights are done. That crack is fixed. And basically all I have to do now is grind this stuff down, probably tomorrow. And then basically like strip the rest of the bumper, and then it's pretty much ready for bodywork. Well, I guess before I do bodywork, I have to do inside the bumper, but as far as the outside goes, it's pretty much done. Pretty much the only issue I have now with how they're fitting to the headlights is right here is a little bit of a gap like this way, so I have to build it under a little bit further. But other than that, the gap is gonna be pretty sick. See, it's much better now. It's really hard to tell. There's a lot of different angles and stuff going on, but now basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take it off, start grinding up the inside and laying fiberglass all on the inside now to basically reinforce the whole bumper now. Then we can start on the bodywork on the outside. I didn't film any of that because it's super boring, but you can see I've put a couple layers everywhere that basically need to be reinforced. Went all up here and put inside and outside, that way there'll be no more holes, and I can just drill new holes and I won't have to worry about it cracking. I added a little bit in here like we needed, about like a ½ inch or so. So that should be good now. So you see bumper is back on now, and I also went ahead and I completely stripped the bumper. It's like down to the gel coat now pretty much. So basically I just did that because it's been painted probably like 3 times, and who knows how well it was like prepped before, so whatever. You get stuff peeling off, you don't want to go over it and it'll end up cracking with a bunch of paint on it. So overall though, it fits like really good now. Like I said, it's like an aftermarket fiberglass bumper, so mainly it's probably gonna get smashed anyways, so it doesn't have to be like perfect. I'll probably replace it eventually. For now, at least it's fitting. I would say half decent. So I'll at least be able to work with it now and be able to straighten it out pretty good. It's super wavy too. So this whole thing is gonna get basically like a skim coat of body filler, which is gonna look bad, but it's not gonna be super thick. It'll just be like a skim coat over everything. Like even up here where there's no damage, it's all wavy because it's a fiberglass part. So overall, I'm pretty happy with it. It looks cool. I like the shape. So now what I'm gonna get into is doing the filler work, doing all the body work, start blocking it out, make it nice and straight. So I think I'm gonna save that for the next video because this is quite the process with this. So if you're enjoying what you're seeing, I really like this type of stuff. So hopefully there's some people out there who, I don't know, gain a little bit of knowledge and also enjoy watching this. Yeah, if you want to subscribe, like, comment, whatever. Also, if you have any questions, I have been getting a few messages like on Instagram and stuff about people asking me stuff. I don't mind helping, but I'm not a teacher, so I can only do so much. Thanks for watching, and I guess I'll see you in the next one.